Yo, what's up? You are hanging with the Niners nut. A very depressed, sad, angry, pissed off Niners nut on this Monday fucking dog shit morning. 49ers got fucking bitch whipped, slapped, fucked, pissed on, and the New York Yankees got swept. And the Lakers choked. And the Rangers lost. So it sucks for me, man. But I don't even know what to say, man, to this. I don't have the words, man. I don't come on here like with a script and shit like that and writing down game ideas. I don't do that. I just come freehand and just kind of shoot my shit. We suck. We suck. I don't know any other way to say it, man. This team sucks. They suck. You know? There is and there isn't. We should be. Well, I should say there's the pretend world that says you should and you should. We should be 5-2, right? We definitely should have lost this game. We definitely should have lost the Atlanta game. So we should be 5-2. Every other game we should have won. Chicago, Denver. I mean, keep going. Keep going. Should have won those games. But we're 3-4. And if you watched that game yesterday, forget even watching the game. If you saw the highlights of that game, forget even seeing the highlights. Look at the stats of that game, bro. What happened? Look, I get that sometimes you're playing a high-powered offense like the Kansas City Chiefs, who are just gonna turn shit on. You know what I'm saying? I get it. Mahomes is fucking amazing. I get it. There ain't no Tyreek Hill there no more. So I was kind of miffed at Mecole Hardman becoming like this ultra, I don't know, whatever the fuck. Kelsey, yeah, 100%. He's one of the best tight ends in football. Chris Jones owns us. Chris Jones seriously straps it on and fucking that. I'm sorry, man. He owns us. He was dogging that offensive line yesterday. Gave up 5 sacks, man. He dogged us in the Super Bowl. He dogged us last night. Pissed on us. So I get that you've got Mahomes, Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, this high-powered offense that can put your lights out. But let's face it, they don't run the ball there. Edwards-Helaire is not really a threat. That Isaac Pacheco, that guy's legit. That guy's the next stud there. He was hurting us yesterday. We got abused on all ends of the spectrum. And I call it like it is. I said it in my post. Do not blame Jimmy Garoppolo for this loss. He threw one bad pass on the goal line. Fucking horrible pass. It was a panic pass. Okay? But do not blame him for this loss. Jimmy G didn't give up over 500,000 fucking yards that they gave up on defense yesterday. Jimmy G, wasn't covering Mecole Hardman, who had like the day of his career yesterday. Jimmy G wasn't the defensive backfield that looked like, I don't know, that just looked invisible yesterday. Wasn't his fault. Jimmy G didn't instill or continue to call plays that we abandoned the running game. Again, Shanahan does what he usually does when shit gets out of hand. He walks the fucking plank and stops running the ball. Look at the stats. Look at what Jeff Wilson Jr. was averaging on the ground yesterday. And look at his total yards for the 7 carries he had. And someone tell me, yeah, you should have stopped running the ball. No, you shouldn't have stopped. You should have kept doing what you're doing. If we would have held the ball more, pounded away the clock, ate away at them, pounded that defense out, it would have worked out maybe a little different. I don't think we would have won the game. But Because our offensive line looked like shit yesterday. It was their worst game they've had all season. And that's from the bottom to the top. From side to side, they look like shit. I mean, Frank Clark went around Trent Williams. I don't know. Maybe Trent Williams came back a little early, the ankle injury and whatnot. I was actually surprised to see him there. Thank you for all joining the live feed, by the way. I appreciate it. Just throw your comments and shit like that in there right away. Yeah, man. Offensive line got decimated. We stopped running the ball. McCaffrey, I mean, yeah, it was nice to have him, but we didn't, obviously we didn't utilize him at all that much. Okay. George GK had a great game. All right. But I don't know. What else is there to say? Garoppolo threw for over 300 yards. Got sacked 5 times. He was under pressure multiple times. It's not his fault. I can't get over the number of people I've seen that are blaming him. The posts I've seen that are blaming him. Not his fault. If this was the Denver game, then I could understand. But he was not to blame in this one, man. This one, I got to say, man, is on the defense, is on the offensive line, is on the play calling. Play calling was shit. All right? We couldn't get any pressure on Patrick Mahomes, which was surprising. Bosa had the 1 sack. Other than that, everybody else was invisible. Nothing was working. We couldn't cover Mecole Hardman. I mean, Schuster Smith I expected to do some damage, but Mecole Hardman had the career day. I mean, Schuster Smith did have over 100 yards. I don't know, man. I figured after that Huffenegger intercept, the play that Huffenegger broke up that caused the interception, like that was the ticket in. Look, was the interception that Jimmy G threw the turning point of the game? It definitely killed the momentum. It would have been nice to get on top and have that extra score, but he did not lose that game for us, man. Okay? I was happy to see Brock Purdy. I mean, I know he threw a pick. I felt bad for the guy. He looked like he just came out of CYO and joined the fucking NBA or some shit like that. I felt bad for the guy. It was really embarrassing, too, to see Shanny just take out all the starters and just put in, all the other guys. I mean, listen, man, we're at home. We're down 21 points. A lot of other teams don't do that. A lot of other teams leave their starters in and play as if. I mean, look, I can understand you were trying to maybe save injury from happening. I get it because it's been that type of couple of weeks, but not at home, man. We didn't show a lot of face yesterday, especially with it being the anniversary and all that bullshit. I expected a payback game. This wasn't a payback game. Basically this team fucking just kind of bent over and said, fuck me again. Excuse my language, but that's how they look, man. I call it like it is. It was a shit show, bro. It was a fucking shit show. I couldn't believe at one point that the amounts of yards we were giving up, totally exposing the defense, forcing the offense to just become a passing offense, which was nice to see them open up, but not like that. It was so disappointing. The Juwan Jennings penalty on the kickoff, go back and look at that. The guy was out of bounds for about 6 years after fucking Jennings hit him. 9 fucking penalties. Right? Is that what it was? Bringing up the stats here, like we always do. I believe it was 9 penalties. I mean, how do you win like that? Let's just go to. I usually do team stats last, but I'll do it first this time. 10 penalties for 80 yards. I rest my case. Deserved to lose that one. 10 penalties for 80 yards, 3 turnovers. Yards per rush, 4.8. Rushing attempts, only 21. You're averaging 4.8 yards per carry, and you run the ball 21 times. A lot of teams would love 4.8 yards per carry. I mean, you're talking what? You're talking almost 5 yards a carry each time. Something's working there. When you do the math. Gave up 5 sacks and only had 1 sack. Listen, if you can't put pressure on Patrick Mahomes, you can't win this game. Patrick Mahomes could have the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Cowardly Lion as wide receivers, and it wouldn't matter. Because he's going to find a way to pick you fucking apart. Also, Shanahan was and I don't say this because it's easy to blame the coach. I say this because it is outcoached, big time, by Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid. Outcoached like I've never seen. Yards per pass. We average 6.7 yards per pass. To theirs, 11.3. They're getting 11 yards. That's a first down every time Patrick Mahomes completes a fucking pass. You get these analytical people in sports that, let's live and die by the numbers. Motherfucker, you know what I'm paying attention to? The fact that you guys are giving up 11 yards a pass each time. Do the math, right? 100 yards. 100 yards. I think, you know what? Kenny Wilson 333, if I'm saying that right. If I didn't, I apologize. I gotta say, I said this before, man. If this continues and we go down the drain, yeah, a coaching staff change has definitely got to be, or a coach change has to be made because it's too much now. If this shit starts to spiral out of control, Titanic style, yeah. Because yesterday was like the eye opener. That's like, what the fuck? I don't know if you remember, 1994, the last time we won the Super Bowl, George Seifert was the head coach. I think the Niners were 3-1, and we got blown out to the Philadelphia Eagles 40-8 in Candlestick. I remember that game, and I remember it. Go back; it's rather famous because Steve Young got benched halfway during it, comes off the bench and just gives fucking George Seifert shit. And it's games like that that either do one or two things, that either propel you to change things up and do damage, or that's your Titanic. That's the iceberg on the Titanic. And we will have to see what happens against the Rams this week to make the decision which way this team's going to go. Because yesterday was the fucking iceberg. And look, you could say all you want, but it's the Chiefs, and it doesn't matter. Good teams, good defenses do not get bitched like that. Do they break? Do they bend but not break? Yeah, bending is fine. Bending is giving up 350 yards, maybe 400, but not 44 points. Not 44 fucking points, bro. I mean, what the hell? You know, I got to say, too, the week before that against Atlanta, we gave up 28 to a not that good offense. And again, I got to say, Shanahan was outcoached by Arthur Smith. That's 2 weeks in a fucking row. And if you think I'm wrong, go back, watch the Atlanta game play for fucking play, because Arthur Smith coached a motherfucking gem in that one. Where was I? Yeah, yards per pass, right? Passing yards. I mean, Mahomes threw for 417. You know, he had no pressure on him. He could have been skateboarding with a peanut fucking colada in his hands yesterday. It wouldn't have mattered. Jimmy G threw for over 300, as I said. I forgot. We'll get to the numbers. Yards per play, 9.1. The Chiefs average 9.1 yards per play, which, again, basically means every play they almost get a first down. There's something wrong there. To our 6.2, which isn't bad. Like, that's kind of like, okay. But it doesn't matter because at that point, their defense is beatable. It's been beatable. Their defense ain't that great. I mean, it's not as good as, let's say, which I thought ours was, or the Eagles, or throw it out there, man. Chiefs defense was beatable. They only had 10 drives. They put up 44 points on 10 drives. Total yards, 529 Chiefs to our 444, which is great. But a lot of those yards were, kind of hand-me-offs, garbage, bullshit. Didn't matter at that time. Because, again, the Chiefs are that type. The Chiefs are the Golden State Warriors of basketball. They can give up 1 billion points but score 3 billion. It's not brain surgery, man. This isn't hard. And if you thought they could do that with Tyreek Hill, yesterday they did it with Juju Schuster-Smith, Mecole Hardman, Pacheco, Travis Kelce. I mean, take your pick. You could have had, I don't know, fucking the Hunchback of Notre Dame back there somewhere, or Groot, and they would have scored. Third down efficiency. We were 8 of 14. It's pretty damn good. Better than 50%. Beat them in at least we beat them in something. Beat them in first downs. But again, it's penalties. 10 penalties. 80 yards. How many times? How many? 80 fucking yards. Think about that. And some of these penalties were pure bullshit on our part. It almost looked like we weren't prepared. Like it just didn't look like we took that game serious. First quarter, yeah, there was something there. Nice for, good, decent first drive. And then we capitalized on that, the interception. But other than that, there was nothing to really cheer about. Let's go to some of the game stats individually, man. Again, Mahomes 25-34, 423, 3 touchdowns and a pick, sacked once, averaging 12.4 yards per throw. Holy shit! On the ground, they didn't run the ball much, but when they did, they were gaining chunks of yards. Pacheco had 43 yards on 8 carries. That's over 5 yards a carry. Same thing with Edwards, 32 yards on 6 carries. That's over 5 yards a carry. McCole Hardman carried the ball 2 times, 28 yards, averaging 14 yards, and scored 2 touchdowns. We're getting bitched on both sides on running and receiving. Defense couldn't cover anyone yesterday. Couldn't cover a bunch of mannequins. Juju, 7 catches, 124 and a touchdown. Valdez-Scantling, 3 catches, 111 fucking yards. The numbers he averaged yesterday is what they wanted him to do in Green Bay, which never happened. He did it against us, though. 37 yards per carry, a 57-yard long. Kelsey, 6 for 98. Kelsey's going to get his numbers no matter what. Got bitched. We got bitched. Willie Gay had a half a sack. Snead had a half a sack. Chris Jones, again, strapped it on and fucked us deep. 2 sacks. Frank Clark, he did the same. They double-teamed us. Serious. He had a sack and a half. And, of course, 2 interceptions given up. But I'll tell you one thing. Here's one of the most disappointing things. Pacheco, kickoff returns, 5 kickoff returns, 126 yards. Our special teams gave up 25.2 yards per return for Pacheco. It's no excuse, man. Just no excuse. Let's go to our stats quick. Again, Jimmy G, probably his top game of the year in terms of yards. 303 yards, 25-37, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 8.2 yards per average. Sacked 5 times. All the haters leave the 5 sacks out of the equation. Guy had no time to throw the ball yesterday, and when he did, he was averaging 8.2 yards per throw. Jeff Wilson carried the ball only 7 times, yet he had 54 yards on the ground, was averaging 7.7 yards per carry. Why did you stop running the ball? McCaffrey in his debut in the red and gold, 8 carries, 38 yards, 4.8 yards. Was looking pretty good, right? Other than that, nothing on the ground. Deebo carrying the ball on the ground, it was an afterthought. Wasn't even looked at, really. Through the air, Kittle had his best game of the year. 6 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. Ayuk continues to do damage. 7 catches, 82 yards. Ray got into it. 4 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown. It's about time they really put him in the offense a little more. Deebo, 5 catches, 42 yards. I don't know why we're not using him on the deep ball more. We're only giving him this intermediate bullshit routes. I mean, only averaging 8.4 yards per catch. Why aren't we utilizing him as a deeper threat? Jusek, 3 catches, 34 yards. Hey, McCaffrey, 2 catches. Jennings, 2 catches. Holy fucking shit, it's about time. Defensive side of the ball, there really wasn't anything really to gloat about except for the 1 sack by Nickbosa. Shavarius Ward had 10 tackles. Warner had 6 tackles. He had one of his worst. He just, like I said, their offense just obliterated us. That's about it. There's nothing to brag about here. And Huffnager's interception. Oh, I'm sorry. Ray returning the ball. Four returns for 64 yards, averaging 16 yards per carry. Gould was 3 of 3. That's about it, man. I don't know. I gotta ask you all a question. How many of you personally blame Jimmy G for this loss? Really, like, can say to yourself, he lost us the game. Because I gotta tell you, I think you're insane if that's the way you think. No offense, it's just my opinion. I mean, you're not talking about 24-23 or 34-23. It's 44-23. And you could shoulda, woulda, coulda all we want, but you can't blame him for this loss individually. And, this was supposed to be the rematch of rematches. This team was beatable. I know they're a high-powered offense, but they're a beatable team. But unprepared. Looked very unprepared yesterday. Just looking at season stats real quick, just because I'm a numbers guy. I like numbers. I like analytics. I don't base everything off them, but I do like to look at them. You look at the numbers. Garoppolo, so far this season, is completing 64% of his passes, over 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and been sacked 12 times, which really isn't terrible at all. Jeff Wilson Jr. is having himself a season. 88 carries for 454 and 2 touchdowns. A thought that came to mind when I saw the trade for McCaffrey that's great, man. I think McCaffrey's a great talent, but what happens to Jeff Wilson Jr.? I mean, is he just not going to be the guy no more? But he's just going to do this dual thing? Because what happens when Mitchell comes back? Now you got 3. All right? Because I think Jeff Wilson Jr. does deserve his due because he's carried us a long time and done really well for us this season when given the attempt to do so. Deebo, 24 carries, 138 yards, and a touchdown. Other than that, we don't have anything on the ground. I mean, Mitchell really hasn't played. McCaffrey really hasn't played enough. Davis Price really hasn't played. Coleman didn't do so bad. They don't let Jusek carry the ball, obviously. And then through the air, Ayuk leads the team in receptions, 32, 402 yards, 3 touchdowns. I'm sorry, he's tied with Deebo. Deebo's got 32 catches, 387 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then GK is third, 25 catches, 280 for 1 touchdown. And Jennings is fourth, 14 catches, 180 for 0. One thing we're missing, okay, is a long ball receiver. You don't have anybody with an average who's playing a lot of downs that is really stretching the field. So my question is, drafting Danny Gray looks like a waste of fucking time, and not utilizing Ray McLeod is ridiculous. And why aren't we stretching the field a bit more with Ayuk and Kittle and fucking Deebo? And I'm not just talking about this week. I'm talking about all weeks. Okay? If the running game's working so much, which it has in the past, I get it. You kind of stick to the running game, which is fine. But there's got to be times when you open it up too. Because you become one-dimensional, and defenses are going to pick that up real quick. You go to the defensive side of the ball. Dre Greenlaw, again, left the game yesterday. Injury again. Does anyone have any updates on him? I don't know. I got to look. He leads the team in tackles, 58 altogether, 35 solo. Warner is second with 50, 32. Huffnagel still having a great season. Ward still having a great season. He was lost to the game yesterday, too, for a little bit. This Tashawn Gibson Sr., man, he's filled in really well. So, on the defensive side of the ball, obviously, Nickbosa leads the way with 7 sacks. Ebukam, 3.5. Omenyahu, 3. And Drake Jackson, 3. So, not so bad. But, I really don't I really don't know what to make of what happened yesterday. I'm curious to see Shanahan's press conference. I haven't seen it. What do you say? What can you say? If he just comes out and say, yeah, we absolutely shit the bed, I'd have a lot of respect for him, tell you the truth. Because that's exactly what happened. Looking at some team stats right now, and just seeing where we stand against an opponent. We're averaging over 20 points a game, just a little bit, 20.7, and giving up 19, which isn't bad, which isn't that bad at all. Let's see. Third down efficiency could be a lot better. We're below 50%, which, it depends on the team, really. But with 43.18, that could be a little higher. And just looking at, the turnovers haven't been bad. Okay. The offensive line has given up 14 sacks in, let's see now, this is the 7th game. Not bad. It's 2 sacks a game. It was below that yesterday. Averaging over 4.5 yards per carry in the rushing game. Okay. Averaging 365.9 yards per game offensively. And only giving up 317 again, which could be a little lower on the defensive side, but it's really good on the offensive side. It's not terrible. So the penalties are just a bitch. 48 penalties, 350 yards. I mean, it's way too much, man. Sloppy. That's the best way I can put it. I can say it. Sloppy all around. Unhinged. Do not look like they're well coached. Coaching is not looking too great. Every team has their week where they fuck up. And yesterday again was the defense's worst game by far. It's going to happen. Up and coming is the Rams this week. A team we should piss on, which we've done already. We lose that game, the season's over. Okay? Season's over. I say that because it may not be that way in terms of record, but you'll be 3-5 and you would have lost to a shit team because Seattle is now 4-3, a team that we beat, who was playing hard as a mofo with the shit that's been done to them. No Rashad Penny. They're doing it with the rookie Walker. Geno Smith playing great. They're doing it without Bobby Wagner. Okay. Again, any expert who said Seattle was in a rebuilding mode can suck a dick because you don't know what you're talking about. That team is so well coached, it's disgusting. So that division is only going to get tougher. The Cardinals won Thursday night. They get DeAndre Hopkins back. He did damage. But again, these are 3 beatable teams that we can beat all the time. But if we lose to the Rams, forget it. There's no coming back from that. I really don't think there is. You can't lose 5 games and then expect to have this overhaul of wins. It's just not going to work. This was definitely either a Titanic moment or this is just a shit bad game. And there was a stat out there yesterday. I forgot the record. It was a positive record. But it showed the stat which Jimmy Garoppolo and Shanahan, the 49ers, are a week after a loss. And it was obviously more in the win column. Well, that didn't happen yesterday. There was another interesting stat that showed when the Niners go into like the second half of the fourth quarter losing, they are, 0-21 or some shit like that. Obviously, you're 0-21 when you're down a shitload of points going into the fourth quarter against a high-powered offense that can put your fucking lights at any given moment. Halftime, there were no changes, it looked like to me. There was nothing different about halftime. I mean, you got, like I said, it's you got all this great thing going on yesterday. Forget the game, just the fact that this is a team that beat you in the Super Bowl. And you got the Harbaugh's in the building, the great Bryant Young, who just got into the Hall of Fame, and all these other veterans who played on the team 3 years ago. And the performance was dog shit, man. First quarter looked great. Looked like a different team. The interception Definitely didn't help, but it was one bad pass, and still, you were still in that game yesterday. You were still in that game after interception. Everybody needs someone to blame, and they love to pin it on one fucking play. If Garoppolo would have thrown 2 picks, 3 picks, then I could understand. If he would have done what he did against Denver, then I could understand. But he didn't lose the game for us. If anything, he helped keep us in the game. Because at that point, they had to go to just throwing the ball left and right. I mean, there were plays, you saw the empty backfield. We weren't even considering running the ball anymore. And that's the shit I don't understand. You know, a lot of teams, when they're down, they will revert back to what made them do well. You see that a lot of teams and coaching staffs like Bill Belichick's in New England, especially now with Zapp as the quarterback. You know, he doesn't have Mac Jones there, and obviously Tom Brady's not there anymore. But even when Brian Hoyer was filling in before Zapp, they were still doing what they do. They're a running team with the combination of Harris and Stevenson. They're a running team, and it worked. You know, we don't do that. We abandon the running game. Abandon the running game. Let's just start fucking. Let's go back to like Warren Moon and the Houston Oilers of the late 80s, early 90s and do the run and shoot with Ernest Givens and fucking, you know, Curtis Duncan and Webster Slaughter and Haywood Jeffries. You can't do that, man. You can't. Not against a team like Kansas City. You know, that's like if your game plan was going against the Golden State Warriors, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do what Mike D'Antoni does. We're not going to play a stitch of defense. We're just going to try and outscore them. That doesn't work. You can't outscore a juggernaut. And that's what Kansas City is. They're a goddamn juggernaut, man. They're such a well-oiled machine. Think about the years that Bieniemy and Andy Reid have spent together and the offense that they've built for Patrick Mahomes, that they implemented with him, these players that they've put around him strategically to get him to do exactly what he needs. That defense, man, again, their defense doesn't win them games, but their defense, with a combination of the great offense they play, helps them a lot. Showed yesterday. I mean, if Chris Jones isn't one of the best defensive linemen in football, all this talk about Aaron Donald, and well-deserved, but Chris Jones is fucking good. He's good, man. And Seattle's got to be kicking themselves out of, you know, I never understood the loss of Frank Clark, but Frank Clark's not that bad either. And again, they're a team that is run predominantly offensively, that has these very good players on defense that help fill the gap. Fucking beast, bro. Thank you. I've been where some people, I'm just like, what do you mean you don't know? Jones has been a beast since he came in the league, man. They're paying him big money for a reason. I mean, he caved in that offensive line yesterday. They looked lost. They couldn't stop him. You know, I fell asleep during the game yesterday, thank God. I swear to God, man, I passed out. I'm happy I did. I woke back up. He did. Destroyed us. I woke back up and I'm shit. I'm like, why am I sitting here watching this? This is bullshit. This is bullshit. There's a gentleman on my page who made me laugh. He said that he was at the game yesterday and he left early to go buy groceries. Dude, I would have left that game and gone to do anything. Whether it was, I don't know, picking out wallpaper to like mowing the lawn with my face, I would have left. That was a disgraceful loss yesterday. Disgrace. Joe Montana was in the building. The GOAT was in the building. I don't know, man. But I'll tell you what, though, I'm not putting the blame on Jimmy G. I'm not doing that. That's the easy bullshit, non-objective way to do things, which so many people do. You see it in so many different aspects in sports. It's obviously you want to pinpoint somebody. It's easy to blame someone. But one bad pass does not overall cover the entire game. I mean, we just went through the stats. You saw what they gave up. You know, if you're blaming him and you didn't watch the game, then I could understand. Go back and watch that game yesterday. I mean, you got beat on every you got from kick return to defense. The offense was the only thing keeping us in the game. We scored 23 points. I mean, we could have possibly scored more there, but thank God. Because running, and we wasn't even running the ball. Again, I wonder at halftime, what was the, excuse me, what was the game plan, man? Are we going to go back to pounding the ball with the 1-2 combination or 3 combination using juice? Because it didn't look like that. We are not that good. Dude, 100% agree with you. We are not that good. Five words, I agree with you. That's what I said yesterday watching the Chiefs game. We're really not that good. I said that, and I don't know any more than, whatever. I thought that against the Bears, too. I'm like, well, we're really not that good. We can't beat the Bears. Well, we're really not that good. We can't beat the Broncos. So I don't know. Check this stat. The Niners have won 1 out of 29 games. Yeah, that's the stat. Coming into the fourth quarter, losing by 3 points. Thank you. Dude, you're not clutch. You ain't clutch. That's what it says to me. You are not clutch. If you're down by 3 points coming into the fourth quarter and you can't win a game, you're 1 in 29, there's a problem. There's a problem. It's much like, and I'm a Yankee nut, the Yankees, right? In baseball, Judge hitting 62 home runs during the year. Great. Amazing. Broke the record. Stanton, whatever the fuck. But clutch time, you don't, nothing. Nothing. If you can't do it in the clutch, what good are you? And that team, that Chief team yesterday, their loss of Tyreek Hill is not hurting them. And that tells me they're a well-coached team. Because when you lose an offensive juggernaut like Tyreek Hill and you're able to rebound, and again, Juju's no slouch. He's a good receiver. You're able to rebound with Valdez, Hartling, Mecole Hardman, and Juju. I mean, that says a lot because not everybody's as fast as Tyreek Hill. They don't call him the cheetah for nothing. But when you're able to do what you've been doing, the only other team that's better than them is Buffalo. And they're a juggernaut on both sides of the ball. Had this would have been Buffalo yesterday, they would have scored 64 points against us. They would have had a fuck fest. Allen would have led the way. Because we couldn't stop anything. And I feel bad for guys like Brandon Ayuk, who I think is playing his best football so far this season, who's coming into his own. I feel bad for guys like Huffenega, who's like having a monster season and obviously, just risking his body on every play. You saw that yesterday. Him get low at that tackle fucking made me cringe, man. We need to move on from coach. Look, that's been the consensus for a lot of people. I agree with you that, like I said, if this continues to spiral out of control, yeah, there's got to be a change. There's also got to be a change from general manager, too, if this continues to spiral out of control. Because, again, let's look at things on a broad sense. Not just for now, but a little bit from the past, a little bit present, and a little bit future. The moves the front office has made have only hurt us, okay? The guy that they gambled on so heavily as to get rid of 2 future first-round draft picks is on injured reserve, and I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying that's the situation. But this is the guy you put so much equity in that you gave away so much to get. What does that tell you about management? Now, can management be wrong and right? Yeah, we see it all the time. But when you gamble that much, either you're fucking, who's that famous gambler, Chang, whatever the fuck his name is, from Rounders, the guy who gambles all that money, whatever the case, you're either a whale like him who has enough money to do that and the odds are really good, or you're not. And that gamble was a total failure so far. All right? It's a total fucking failure. You don't give away 2 first-round draft picks for Trey Lance. I'm sorry. It's just, it doesn't work that way. Trade Kyle for the kid. I don't think we can give him away. And look, you the ends justify the means, right? As cerebral as Kyle is, as I like Kyleshanahan, as smart as he is, the lineage that he comes from, I respect that tree. His father was a tremendous coach. The the thing you take away from is we remember him as an offensive coordinator in Atlanta not being able to get the job done, calling the plays that he called. That carries over, and I don't know if we can shake if we can go any farther. I don't know. I want to say yes because the same team is still there. Now look, we're 3-4, right? Saw this happen last year a little bit. We totally Titanicked in the beginning and came back. It could happen. It definitely can happen. Hey, if we could trade him if we get a taker, you know what I'm saying? I don't think Carolina wants a taker after Steve Wilkes led them to that fucking 21-3 blowout of the Buccaneers yesterday. It's another thing to laugh about, but we can come back from this. Like I said, this week coming up is the game that'll decide, for me at least, to see season's over or okay, over the hump, beat the Rams twice. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Hey, look, you could be right. He may not be a head coach. I mean, great offensive coordinator, good cerebral mind. Yeah, develops players. Yeah, but look, he made it to a Super Bowl, right? He did a good job last year. Last year was probably the best head coaching job I saw him do, the way he rebounded that team and took them together. So I like Shanny, man, I do. But again, it's games like yesterday that I just don't understand. I'm not going to put the Denver game on him because that was on a lot on Jimmy G. That was a shit show. The Chicago game, I got to kind of go 50-50 and put a little bit on him and put a little bit on Trey Lance. I mean, obviously, you can't put the full blame on Trey Lance. It's his first season, but I got to put that on Shanny, too. But we should be 5-2, but that shoulda, woulda, coulda bullshit don't pay. We win this week against the Rams. I think if we pistol whip the Rams, which we should, blow them off the fucking face there. Now remember, they've been on a bye this week, so they're resting up. I think two things are going to happen. We're back to 4-4. We're right back into that NFC West, tightness, which is the way it's been the last 2-3 years. And no, dude, you could be against Kyle. So I can understand why. And we have to blow the Rams out, not just beat them. You got to blow them out. You'll deflate them. They'll break up that team and move on. Guarantee you that's what's going to happen because that team's not the same. They haven't been the same since last year. They were overrated last year. If we lose, let's say for argument's sake we get blown out, season's a wash. If we lose, I still think the season is a wash. And I think that a coaching change could definitely happen. Anything's possible. Anything's possible, man. And I think a GM change is could happen possibly too. And I don't just say that because you're coming off of a 44-23 loss and, you're disappointed. I say it because, look, you gotta be the way people expect you to be. You can't lose to the Denver Broncos. You can't lose to the Chicago Bears, and then you can't get stepped on. You could be 5-2 and lose to the Chiefs the way you lost yesterday, or it could have been a little better. But if 5-2, you say, all right, one bad game, they did play the Chiefs, yada yada yada. But we're 3-4, man. I mean, you're below 500, and in the schedule just doesn't get any easier, right? You still got to face Seattle again. You got to face Arizona twice, and you got to play when the Rams aren't that good, but you got to play them again. So you get, I think the way the division is, it's going to be tight to see who wins the division because you're not going to be able to have like an 11 or 12 win season to take that division. That division could be taken with 10 wins. So that's one thing that's in our favor, but it's all the other games around that I worry about. And also too, I'm just waiting to see this offense click where things aren't abandoned. The running game is not abandoned. I'm waiting to see everything come together. Using Deebo both ways, but stretching the field with him and stretching the field more with Ayuk and stretching the field more with Kittle. Another thing too, listen, Kittle blocking all the time is great because he's such a tenacious player that he can do so, but we need him. We need him as a receiver, a lot more. Okay, because he's If you get a Kittle like you had, if you utilize Kittle the way you utilized him yesterday, it just makes us all more dangerous. Too much talent. Where's the coaching? How is this our story every year? We need a new coach. You could be right, man. Too much talent. Too much talent. Now with McCaffrey, you know, that's another thing. We'll see this week, man. How much more he's implemented. I know he had 2 days to grab the offense. He seems like a cerebral guy. I mean, I know it's a huge playbook, but him and Jeff Wilson Jr. together, man, having the season that Jeff Wilson's having, which no one's mentioning, the numbers look good to me. It's, the defense, despite yesterday's game, is still having a great season statistically. And the Atlanta game, we got bitched. Yeah, he's phased out. I was thinking the same thing yesterday. That really fucking bothers me, man. It really does. So is Jusek. He's phased out of the offense. They did throw at him 3 times yesterday. They have been throwing more, but it's a little bit too little too late because this should have been going on a lot more. Look at his background and his stats. That's what he's built for. You want to block. Bring in Warner. I know Tyler Kroft is hurt, but use an extra lineman like other teams do. I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. After yesterday, man, I'm waiting for one of these players on the roster to just blow up and just basically say, call out some shit. I think that's just what it's going to take. I haven't seen a press conference yet. I didn't see it yesterday. Nor would I want to. There's nothing to see. What is Shanahan going to say? That we got beaten by 21 points? No, you got outcoached. You got bitched. And at home, too. It's disgraceful, man. It's disgraceful. It really is. It's disgraceful. And it used to be that this team never lost like that. And like I said before, yeah, it happened in 94 the last time we won a Super Bowl. It happened. But again, that's the tipping point. And we were 3-2, I think, then, or 3-1, whatever the record was. And from there, we went on like a 12, 10-game winning streak and just took shit to the next tier. But not like this, man. Not like this. I mean, they laid down yesterday. The chunks of yardage that Kansas City was getting per play was just like so aggravating. I mean, who would have thought McCole Hardman is that good? No offense to him. He's a talented guy, but give me a fucking break, man. The defensive backfield fell apart yesterday. They didn't have an answer for anybody. Can you imagine if Tyreek Hill would have been on that team yesterday? They may have scored 74 points. And then for the defensive line not to be able to stop the run and give up all those yards, I mean, look, I could go on and on about this, as could you guys. It's disappointing. We can barely survive camps and practices, yet our fans are asked to believe we will win actual games and not compete for Super Bowl. Fuck no. Yeah, I agree with you. There's this silly like bullshit thing going around with a lot of Niner fans where it's like, if you criticize them when things are bad or you call out when things are bad, you're not. I can't. A lot of people just don't have the fucking cerebral capabilities of like being objective. It's like, no. We who've been watching this team for a while know that they should be 5-2, and at the same time have made questionable moves from the front office that have not worked out. And I can't see it. Here's another question. Where the fuck is Javon Kinlaw? Another first-round pick, man. I know he's coming back from a terrible knee injury, but listen, this is year 2 of the rebound from last year's washout. You got to call it like you see it, man. You got to call it like you see it. The team is never the full roster in season. It's fucking, yeah, man. The injuries are killing us. Where's Jason Verrey? I thought he was going to be ready by now. I really don't know. I know I hated seeing everybody get benched yesterday, though. Conceding to the blowout. That was embarrassing. Felt bad for Brock Purdy, like I said. But like I said, this week is the week to pay attention to a lot, to see how this team either rebounds or folds. And again, it'll be a Ram team coming off rest. So, and it'll be in LA, I believe. So, gonna be an important one. I really hope that the Niners take this loss to heart. I don't know. It always feels like we're the most injured. Yeah, I'm confused with the offense too, bro. I'm lost. Because, you start off the game and you see the running game, pounding. It sets up the pass, nice. And then, look, I understand. You get behind. Jimmy G throws that bad pick. But still, you were in the game. Like, why are we abandoning what we do best? When you think about it, when you have McCaffrey, Wilson, Jusic, I know it's easier said than done, especially when you're not a coach or a player. But you would think that what's brought us a lot of luck so far is the grinding of the run game. Why aren't we dumping to these backs more? Why does every other team throw to the backs? Kansas City throws to Pacheco. Pittsburgh throws to Najee Harris. Buffalo throws to Singletary. Why aren't we dumping to Jusic? That's why we got McCaffrey. But it shouldn't have taken us to get him to dump to these guys. We win on paper and everyone. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I keep seeing these rankings of us on top, and I'm saying, no, we're a lot lower than that. There's a lot of teams playing a lot better. Seattle's playing better than we are. We played Seattle. They'd beat us right now. No. Look, we still got what? 10 games to go. It's a whole season of football and more. So things could change 100%. That's why I say this week's game is the one to really pay attention to. If we wash the floor with the Rams, we're okay. We're in a better place. If we lose, we're not. And then shit's going to start to really get questionable. Shanahan, Lynch, going to start to get questionable. It's not going to be on Garoppolo because it's really not his fault, man. You can't put the fucking blame on him. If he was playing like dog shit constantly and his numbers were, via the Stafford throwing picks or Jared Goff throwing picks, then I could understand, but it's not like that. So you can't put it on him. But look, it is what it is, as the man said. So I don't know, guys. Let's see what happens. I don't even want to go back. I'm definitely not going to go back and watch any highlights from yesterday. I saw all I needed to see. So, hit me up with some stuff, comments. Definitely, if you get a chance, I really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the page on YouTube if you haven't yet. Inbox me if you want. If anybody heard anything about Dre Greenlaw's injury yesterday, I'm curious to know if he's going to be gone now. We can't blame Jimmy, but we can't push the ball down the field. Jed York has never given to this team like his uncle. Oh, dude, you hit the nail on the head. There's only one Eddie D. Bro. Jed York wouldn't know football from a giraffe's neck. Nah, Jed York is Woody Johnson. Woody Johnson knows baby powder. He don't know football. That's why he hired Joe Douglas. Definitely agree with you on that. I wish somebody else owned this team, but that's definitely not the case. So, as the wise man said, you could wish in one hand and shit in another and see what gets filled quicker. All right. That's about it, man. Horrible yesterday, guys. Let this be the all right, old school. Excellent, my man. So you know what I'm talking about. Let this be the worst loss of the season, and just move on from there. If anybody wants to hit me in the meantime, always feel free to. I really appreciate you guys being live with me, hanging with the Niners nut, and I'm out.